Hello everyone, we are here with Jay. Jay, if you'd introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Jason Kim with the Vape Depot and Evolution Vape.
And I'm Robbie Vapes, or Robert Bruley, as my real name is. I do YouTube videos, and we just wanted to introduce ourselves to make sure there was no bias in this video so you knew exactly who was talking to you. We're here today to talk about the issues surrounding the Calgary Vape ban. Of course, this applies to everybody out there, so if you're watching this, please remember to help out your local vaping associations, your MLAs if you have them. Please write to them. We'll be talking about that more in detail as the video progresses. In the meantime, we're going to get to the question section first. I have a few questions myself, and I'd like Jay to answer them. Jay has agreed to this, so we will continue from there. Now, Jay, the first question I have for you is actually surrounding the nuisances that people have been complaining about in public and in certain places, of course. And my question to you is, how do you feel about that, and what are ways we can combat them as vapers and help out with lowering the annoyances or the nuisances that people are feeling right now?
Well, I feel where these nuisances are coming from would be in more specifically the restaurants and the pubs, and from what we've been told is around playgrounds. It's obviously something that us as vape vendors don't want to see or don't advocate, but I mean, there are people out there that will just break out their vape and start vaping in a restaurant or a pub without asking the owners to see if it's okay. And of course, that's where nuisances are coming from. Some people don't like the smell of cherry cola, or don't like the smell of creme brulee along with their dinner, although they do smell nice. But it's a matter of respect, I guess, for the other patrons in there. And how we can combat that, I suppose, would be just be respectful of your surroundings and your environment, where you are. Always ask management and staff if it's okay to vape in some place like that, although this may not matter with the current bylaws that are coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just touching on that point as well, one of the things that I feel is a big factor of this myself is that a lot of it has to do with the perception that people see what appears to be smoke when in actuality it's really not. I mean, the whole smoke process to create smoke it involves combustion. This is not combusting anything, this is just heating something up. The best analogy I can make, now of course this isn't perfect, is surrounding boiling water. If you boil water, you get vapor. This is basically boiling a compound of only 4 ingredients really. Propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, in some cases nicotine, and in some cases not nicotine, and of course the flavoring is involved as well. Now as Jay mentioned, there are several flavors. You have things like root beer, cherry cola, you have a strawberry type flavor or a banana flavor, and it really does vary quite a bit depending on what your preferences are. And I think that's where all the flavors come out. Is the reason why flavors are created is because it meets demand, and demand says that we want a strawberry flavor, we want a banana flavor, or whatever it might be, or a root beer flavor for that matter. And the flavors of course vary significantly, but I think the biggest thing here to keep in mind, going back to my original point, is that this isn't smoke, this is a vapor, and that's kind of how we got our own nicknames as vapors, so to speak, is because that is what we're consuming and what we're putting into our body. Now, I don't know about you, Jay, but I was a smoker before this. I smoked for quite a long time, a lot longer than I'm proud to admit of, and for me this was the only thing that worked. I tried the patch, I tried the inhaler, I tried the gum, and nothing worked. And for me, this is the first thing that has actually worked for me. On top of that, it's kept me off cigarettes for 10 months now, which I'm extremely happy about myself. So Jay, were you a smoker at all?
17 years.
Wow.
17-year smoker, 2 packs a day, and yeah, there's not much more I can say about that.
Yeah, and just out of curiosity, when was the last time you had a cigarette?
I'll just say quite a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, guys, is it comes back to that whole safer alternative to, as opposed to igniting something, actually just heating it up, basically. Another point that was made, and this is a big one actually, and this is pretty significant to not just myself, but I'm sure a lot of other vapors out there. We're now being told that we're marketing to children, and as a shop owner yourself, Jay, how do you feel how does that perception feel on you, and what are some of the ways that you're combating that statement?
Right. That statement saying that we're marketing to children is quite disappointing, actually. We don't market to children. Here in Calgary, we're creating creating a United Vape Retailers Association, where we're setting the guidelines to self-regulate here inside of Calgary. Already we don't sell to minors. Anybody under the age of 18, we don't sell to. If they look like they're 18 or younger, we ID them, and even to the point we won't even sell them a zero nicotine or even a setup. We just tell them that we can't sell to them. A lot of the juices we bring in are not going to have cartoon labels on them. We really try to stay away from that. We don't want kids to look at their parents' bottle and say, "Ooh, that looks nice. Let's try and drink that." That's not something we want. And again, just advocating to tell people, please be respectful of where you're vaping, and be courteous to other people and other patrons around.
That's a really good point as well. It is the cartoon labels. That's the big thing right now in the vape industry. It's not just in Calgary by any means. It's actually nationwide, really. These cartoon labels, they're actually under attack right now, and almost rightfully so. I hate to admit it, but when you see some of these labels, it's actually very supporting the direction that some of these companies are taking this, especially knowing that there is this perception that we are marketing to children, and that they're willing to go ahead with it anyways because they feel it'll sell more bottles, or they feel it's more catching to the eye. And I guess in some cases that's marketing to a T. Really, is you want your juice to stand out. We already talked about this before. There's several flavors. There's tons of different companies out there making juice, and that's for some reason how some of them feel they have to sell their juice. Now, of course, being a shop owner and not carrying that, we're actually in essence protesting this idea of giving people the ability to market it this way. We want it to be marketed a different way. And I guess this goes on another point that we'll bring up in a second, but the best way to sell juice is make something that is appealing to people, and to make something that tastes good. Now, one of the issues with this vape ban is that not only are you not allowed to vape in a bar or in a restaurant, which again, I'll be honest, I completely agree with that. For me personally, especially a restaurant, I feel like vaping in a restaurant for me it's very disturbing to people around you, and no matter what you're using, it doesn't matter if you're using a device like this, which produces quite a bit of vapor, or a smaller device, it's still the same essence, and it still has that visual stigma of smoke. And I mean, we've gone past smoking in restaurants years and years ago, obviously, but my point that I'm trying to make, as I ramble on a little bit here, is that the vape shops are a place where you can try these juices. They're a place where you can come in, see what juice you like, and it doesn't matter if they sell 100 different juices, 500 different juices, or 10 juices. You want something that appeals to you, and that's part of what helped me quit smoking, was finding a juice I liked and then sticking with it. I mean, we all know that a lot of smokers, at least I was pretty brand loyal, which is pretty bad to say these days, but it's true. Much like that for me personally, I seem to be more flavor loyal. I have the same flavors that I vape on, and I feel like having the ban, which will actually affect vape shops, which again I'll let Jay touch on here in a second, you can no longer try the flavors or the juices and feel which one is right for you. And as a smoker trying to quit, that may be deterring some people if you spend $15, $20 on a bottle of juice that you don't like, and you realize you're better off just going back to your regular brand. Now, Jay, I would like to hear your opinion on how you want to see this happen in vape shops, and why you feel that vape shops should be, at the very least, one of the places that have been named to be an exception to the rule.
Right. I'll back up a little bit about the proposed bylaws. There's two parts to it. The first part is how it affects the vaping community and the spin-off stigma towards it, and then the second part is how does it affect the vape shops, and not just ours, all the vape shops across Calgary here. Point number one, how it affects the community is e-cigarettes or vapors, or personalized vaporizers, they're going to be classified in the same class as cigarettes, meaning you're not going to be able to vape anywhere, not anywhere at all. You have to get out when you want to vape. You go out to your smoking pit, whatever area that your company or wherever else is designated as a smoking area. You'll have to sit in that same area or somewhere close to it and do your vaping. You can't do it more than closer than 5 meters from the front doors of any building. You can't even vape in the car with your children, even though it's your own car and it's your own kids. It becomes very difficult, and then we thus become stigmatized as smokers, even though we are not using a cigarette. We are specifically switched to vaping to get away from the cigarette, and the physical aspects of vapor, the sensation is very similar to smoking, so that really works for us as an alternative to smoking. And of course, it's a much healthier alternative. That's part one. It's going to affect all the consumers. Part two is how it's going to affect the vape shops. This ban, or these new laws, will affect all the shops, all workplaces, including vape shops. Vape shops are considered a public space and a workplace, a place of business. So effectively, we could not vape in our vape shops. We couldn't put together a starter kit, turn it on, and show you how to use it. We could not troubleshoot if you have problems with it. We could not allow you to test juices. One of the biggest things about switching over to a vapor versus cigarettes is finding a juice that works for you, that you can agree with, something you can turn to and say, okay, yeah, I can give it my all to try and quit cigarettes and switch to vaping with this really nice juice. And at this point, if we can't let people test and try it, it's not going to work very well. The chances of success diminish exponentially. For some people, they have certain sensitivities to certain flavorings. They may have a gag reflex to coconut or to banana or something like that, or they may have a high sensitivity and acid reflux when they have high citrus flavors.
Good point.
And that's how it'll affect. The other aspect of there is a byproduct, so to speak, of vaping in vape shops. We, in essence, become a support group to those who are coming in who want to switch over, and we have customers and staff that are vaping away. We can tell them our stories. We can show them how it works. We can show them our units and how they work. And it really becomes a support group and to helping people veer away from cigarettes.
I mean, that's the perfect point right there as well. As a vapor, even, like I said before, I've actually quit for about 10 months now, and I'm sure it'll last a lot longer than that. But one of the biggest challenges was it took at least around 6 months for me to stop having that craving of a cigarette. And coming into a vape shop, even 6 months after I'd quit, was still a way to support myself and even others who were new to vaping, to help kick the habit, because you get that reinforcement, you get that ability to be away from smokers actually as well, which is another point that for me as a consumer, the reason why I like going to a vape shop is because I'm not out with the smokers and I can be in here, and this is the one place where I feel comfortable doing it. Obviously we talked about the stigma earlier about how it's perceived as smoke. Well, in some cases, like a device like this that produces quite a bit of vapor, I actually get worse looks than a smoker when I'm in a smoke pit, because I actually go to smoke pits when I'm at a bar or when I'm at a restaurant or actually a shopping mall even for that matter. I'll go to the smoke pits and I'm the one who gets the looks, even though there's someone with a cigarette in their mouth right next to me, and I almost feel like I'm being judged for my decision to quit smoking. In here, it's almost, and I know it's going to sound cheesy, but it's almost a judge-free zone or a judgment-free zone to be in here with other people who share the same interest and who have experienced the same struggles and the same cravings that I had, and to be able to support each other is actually a huge thing for me. That's one of the reasons why I love coming to a vape shop. I mean, we're at a vape shop right now and you can see there's couches and everything, because it's a great place to come out, talk to people, and express what you've gone through as well as what they're going through as well, and you can kind of relate to each other. Outside, you're more judged and you feel like you've made a wrong decision to quit smoking, because I quit smoking, but I'm still being looked at, in fact, even worse than some smokers are. And I don't want to say that it affects me to the point where I never have a cigarette again, but it's pretty close, having that feeling of all eyes on you, and they're not in a positive way, which you want when you're trying to quit smoking. You want reinforcement, you want that positive, the positive reinforcement to come with that and to help with that, because realistically, I mean, the vapor is a great way to quit, but added on to that, if I didn't have positive reinforcement, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it. And for me, that's kind of where I'm at. One other thing I wanted to touch on as well is just you know, that's kind of my story. I'd like to hear anyone else's story. If anyone else has a story out there, by all means, tell it. I mean, how did vaping help you? How did vaping allow you to progress to the point of hopefully giving up cigarettes? And I'll let Jay touch on that a little bit more actually, but I mean, that's just what I'd like to see. And that's, again, you've heard my story, I'd like to hear yours as well.
Okay, so I got to give you some bad news. The bad news is this bylaw is going to be passed. There's nothing we can do about it. There's no point in complaining about it, getting pissed, getting angry, yelling and screaming at your local councillors. This is passing. What we have left, and when a few of us vape shop owners spoke at City Council at the committee meeting about the e-cigarettes, was to allow vape shops exemption from this bylaw. We did perk some ears and sparked some interest and a little bit of talking between all the councillors that were present. So what we have left is our vape shops. This is our safe zone. These bylaws are based upon a nuisance bylaw. So in a vape shop, it is not going to be a nuisance. All of the staff vape, I vape, the people coming in here, our vapors, the people that are new coming into, expect to see vape, expect to try vape. So this is definitely a nuisance-free zone, I guess we could call it, but this is our last oasis for us vapors, is to be in our vape shops and being able to mingle within our community and not feel judged. So what we're asking everybody to do, find out who your local councillor is, what ward you live in, send them a message, go on the city website, find who your councillor is, you click contact that person, it gives you a form to write a note. Write a note, tell them your feel-good story, tell them how you switched over, why you switched over, and also stress why it's so important that we still vape in our vape shops. The strongest thing we can do right now is unite. And it's not just us vape shop owners that are trying to lobby this and explain this. We can only go so far. We need the community to step up and help us in this. Otherwise, all is lost.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually. I mean, as someone who only actually vapes in a vape shop out of all the places on that list, to me that means the most to me, because it's the one place, like I said before, where I don't get judged or anything like that. But on top of that, you also have, as Jay mentioned, I mean, you have to keep your cool. You cannot be too aggressive or derogatory. It's not going to get you anywhere. And to sit here and to sit there and to really express your anger, I mean, I don't doubt that there's some frustration out there, and I can understand that. But at the same time, it's not going to help anyone if you're losing your cool, if you're being overly aggressive, or again, like I said before, derogatory, which I think a lot of people have been doing when this whole thing was announced. It's really not fair to anyone to be derogatory toward one particular person or 10 particular people, or even the general public for that matter. I mean, it's our responsibility as vapors to truly show, or lead by example actually would be the best way to put it. You have to be out there and you have to show that we're very respectful of each other, we're very respectful of people's space, their personal space as well. And even if someone knows it's just vapor, it's still bothersome to a lot of people as well. And I can see why. I mean, you're basically breathing on someone in essence if you're blowing it in their face or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't seen that before, but I hope no one does that. And like I said before, just lead by example. That's the best thing we can do here. So Jay, any final thoughts on what you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to?
No, I guess I'd beg and plead would be for the entire community in Calgary here to contact your local councillor in your ward. Hit that contact button when you log into the Calgary website, and please send them your feel-good story. Please tell them why we need to continue vaping in our safe zone, which is our vape shops. We are stigmatized now. We can't get away from that, but we can at least try and save our vape shops.
Yep, good point, Jay. Well, I guess that pretty much ends the video here. I do appreciate everyone's support and their feedback as well. And even if you're not a vapor, if you have feedback to leave, by all means, leave the feedback that you want to leave. We're open to anyone speaking their mind and hearing out the people who are not just vapors, but also the general public. So again, thank you all for watching this, and we do appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.